The Todd Shapiro Show.
Time to hit the button!
On Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Lance Lambert from BovedaInc.com, your global leaders in two-way humidity control. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you doing, Todd?
I'm very good, man. I'm really good. I just don't want to work so much.
Well, one day, you got those goals for early retirement, I think, like me. So just keep on telling yourself that. By the time the kid gets out of high school and off to college, maybe we'll have some more time to go hit up the beaches.
Well, that's the goal, man. Yeah. In my case, when the kid's done college, I won't be for 20 years from now, though, and I'll be dead. So I'll hit up those beaches in heaven. Lance joins us every week, and we love the cannabis chats and everything going on in the space, and he's very knowledgeable and just a great dude as well. So, I saw that Congress votes to block the feds from enforcing marijuana laws in legal states. What's up with that? That's good news.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff we were lobbying for in D.C. a few months back, myself and several other groups out there, Marijuana Policy and Attach and you name it. I mean, there's so many groups that are lobbying for things like this. So, yeah, they actually what they passed, it was kind of a far-reaching measure, but they passed it last Thursday, and that's to, exactly like you said, prevent the Department of Justice from interfering with state marijuana laws. The thing with this one, though, it actually includes those allowing recreational use, cultivation, and sales. So there was something that existed as of 2014, which was centric to the medical programs. So it was nice for them to have that in place and have that protection for the medical side of the industry, but obviously it's blossomed into so much more over the past several years. So this kind of rolls up into that. But the bigger picture is the broader rider of this was approved in a floor vote of 267 to 165. So I think this really tells us that the Congress we have today are more so in support of cannabis than ever before in history that we know, or at least recent history. So I think that really paints a picture of where things could go, and I think that's why more and more folks are saying, hey, within the next few years, maybe 22, maybe 2023, we could see all this finally move forward to full legalization like Canada. So more to come on that.
Is that a surprise thing for you?
A little bit, just because it was kind of broad stroke, Again, the fact that it's rolling up into something bigger, but this is a big step. I mean, this is something we very much needed in getting feedback from the folks at NORML and some of the other agencies and groups out there that are out there lobbying on a regular. We were pleasantly surprised, not overly surprised, but pleasantly surprised. And again, it's just something that was inevitable. I mean, you're talking about over 33 states that have a medical or adult use program, 39 states if you count those that have CBD only on the legal front as well. So, yeah, this was a big deal, and we're pleasantly surprised, not amazingly surprised, but pleasantly surprised, because we know there's so much support from state to state. And again, it's bipartisan, right? We have Republicans and Democrats both supporting the cause.
When's it going to be legal federally? My weekly question.
I know. I put it on 2022. I still think, the way we move, we're a little slow and a little too political at times. But as we say, or as I always say, energy goes where the money flows. And I think that's, for me, myself, it's a bigger picture. It's freeing the plant. It's moving forward on the medical side of things. But I do know that when politicians see that potential for money is where the attention goes. So I see it happening within the next few years.
There are numbers showing that 13 states expected to sell at least $1 billion in cannabis by 2024. So the market's definitely there.
Yes, 100%. So the one leading the pack, of course, California, but it is the highest populated state. But they're looking at $7.23 billion in legal annual sales as of 2024. But you have Colorado, a little bit smaller population. They come in about 6.5 million, but they're slated to come in at 2.05 billion. Florida, you have 1.9 billion. New York, second largest populated state in the union, that would be 1.66 billion. So the list goes on. I wouldn't say there's too many surprises. Maybe Maryland, surprise, came in at 13. They're projected at $1 billion. And maybe another surprise would probably be Massachusetts coming in at $1.21 billion. But yeah, it speaks volumes again, saying that essentially we could be a $24 billion market. And that's a big portion just for these 13 states. Overall, they're saying $30 billion potential in sales for legal marijuana in 2024. So we're on the right track, you know.
It's not going anywhere, that's for sure at this point, is it?
Very much for sure.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
They're not taking it back.
Yep. You can't reverse the train. You might slow down, speed it up, but there's no turning around on these tracks. That's for sure.
And California, tell us about this anti-illegal pot campaign that's going on.
Yeah, so it's something those that have made the jump to the legal market, or what some of us say in the industry that have come out of the shadows. So those that have segued from either gray market or black market to full legal market. Obviously, they're giving some input back to the agencies that be and saying, hey, you know, this isn't right. There's obviously still a thriving black market here, a legal or illicit market going on, and that's cutting into what would make us profitable and successful companies. So Lori Ajax and team, she's our, as they say, the cannabis czar of policy here in the state of California. They started what they're calling a WeedWise campaign. So hashtag WeedWise. And they're really encouraging people to consider where they're purchasing their cannabis. And they're saying that with that is going to come more aggressive enforcement and a stance to come after illegal markets. So some of the campaigns, some of the quotes they're kind of using is "What's in your weed shouldn't be a mystery. Shop licensed cannabis retailers only," or you don't know what you're getting if you're buying illegal products, which you and I both very much endorse. Hey, the nice thing about legalization is it's tested, it's approved, it's handled properly, it's packaged properly, and it's sold properly. So it's nice that they're putting themselves out there and saying, hey, yes, we're trying to go full legalization, and we support those that have done so as well.
Yeah, I would imagine, are those same people doing that, sort of looking over their shoulder, going, wait a second, we used to be on one side, now we're throwing everybody on the bus on the other?
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things where once you're out, you're out. Again, it's kind of hard to reverse that, and they know it. They know once those that came onto the legal side spent the money, the investment, the time, the effort, that they want everyone else to come on. It's like, okay, no more hiding in the shadows. It's time to be a legit business and to mainstream this. And so they might be looking over a little bit. There's obviously a bit of banter back and forth between both sides. And it's unfortunate, but again, we need to do away with, this whole illicit market. That's what makes it dangerous in Canada, California, everywhere. Again, it's just not regulated. And so do you ever really know what you're getting? Which I never knew before now. So.
No, right, and now exactly that is that people definitely have a great idea now what they're getting, and that's the whole point through regulation, and that's only going to improve too with more testing and more dosage control and all that kind of stuff. Hey, here in Canada, I saw that they have now passed sort of a law to speed up the pardons for past pot possessions and stuff. How exciting is an advocate for such a long time, Lance? You must be happy to hear that this side of the border anyways doing that.
Yeah, very much so. And a gal who's been a phenomenal, I call myself again, more of an advocate. She's an advocate, or more of an activist, I should say. Advocate, that's a good blend of the two. But Jodi Emery, I saw this picture of her protesting on Parliament Hill in Ottawa, and I think that's a great shot of just how much emphasis and effort still needing to be put on to the fact that there's still that myth of normalization along with legalization. So what we're talking about is a bill titled C-93. And so with that, it really is saying we need to expedite this process. The new bill is expected to speed the pardon process by eliminating the potential 5 to 10 year wait time and waives an application fee of $631. So it's nice to know that those individuals that, again, were for some reason got caught up in the system for possession of a minute percentage or something that was for personal consumption versus for resale, for them to have their whole life path changed, rather it be work opportunities or benefits, medical coverage, whatever the case may be. Obviously, having something like that on your record could be detrimental. So it was really nice to see, again, this is the first country to do this. We see it at state levels or city-state levels. But for a country to say, yes, we want to expedite this and really bring the normalization full center, I think is phenomenal. So props to Canada for moving forward here.
Yeah, and I will say, though, because I've said it before, so just to be fully candid, I struggle sometimes with the Emerys. I feel like they sort of play both sides of it. And the reason why I say this is because they were still making an ton of money during sort of the raids that were happening on the illegal dispensaries here in Ontario mainly. And yet, they were breaking the law up until just last year, a year and a half ago, full well knowing. So I can understand like the past pardons when it was just, a silly little possession and there's no huge trafficking and people were just enjoying it the same way they do today. But if people are really profitizing on it in the area of multiples of millions of dollars, and I couldn't just go and set up shop and sell my homemade alcohol in a bathtub at the park tomorrow. There would be legalizations around that. But and trust me, Lance, I have a pretty good homemade bathtub alcohol. And I would love people to buy that for prices that most alcohol is going at. So that's my only thing with the Emerys. It's like you can't play both sides, and that's my own. Sometimes I feel they do that.
Yeah, and that's where I think, I look at them as two different individuals too, Marc and Jodi. And again, the place that I see Jodi is really being that activist that, to your point, still the business, the monetization. But, we're seeing that there's certain individuals, I won't name any names, but some influencers and OGs, as we call them, in the industry here in the States that were very much activists and, supported the cause and the movement. And same thing, they've gone by way of more of commercialization, of mainstream, large scale. Some of the terms that those might use, sellout or someone who's jumped the shark or whatever slang term you want to use to reference it. But I'd imagine it's kind of a tough situation for some of those individuals because they're fighting for a cause, but they also want a piece of that pie. So all of a sudden there's kind of this, I would imagine, kind of this inner battle that goes in on, do I continue to be this outspoken activist that's supposed to be living off of an artist's, income essentially, just getting by, or at what point does this person say, I need to monetize this?
Or at what point, not only do you monetize it, do you go, this cause is here. We've made ways now. There's legalization in X amount of states. There's legalization across Canada. We're confident that by 2022, because Lance Lambert said it on the Todd Shapiro show, that we're going to have full legalization here in America. So, I just think at what point do you concede a bit and say, hey, our big fight made this happen. And yeah, granted, we should monetize on it legally, pay our taxes, not do cash deals in back alleys, or not have illegal dispensaries. Yeah. And I think any advocate or any pioneer who stands by any cause that ultimately comes out on top, you should celebrate those people's success and then celebrate their legitimate business success after. Not hate on it, not be in a community, say, oh, we're from the old school place. You should really, no pun intended, but grow with the times. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. No, very true. And I think this is a good segue into kind of the last topic, just looking at where Ontario's at. The cannabis sales up there have seen a major boost from the physical store rollout. And I think that's a good example of, again, what comes with mainstream. So we know that Canada is dealing with a little bit of that black market scene, just like we are here in California. But I kind of understand it, because something that's still speaking to Americans that maybe aren't quite as enthralled in the industry, but somewhat have an understanding. When I tell them that you can actually purchase cannabis mail order, and that's how it really started up in Canada, they're so surprised. But again, we don't like to compare to alcohol, but there are similarities. And sometimes when people want to consume for relaxation or more from a recreational standpoint, they don't think ahead 1, 2, 3 weeks or however long it takes that individual in a remote province to receive their order. So the fact that there's this huge jump in sales post physical store rollout, I think speaks volumes about how there needs to be the convenience, there needs to be the quality, there needs to be the accessibility for those that voted yes to actually be able to consume. So I think that's a good story to come out of, of Ontario specifically.
Yeah, and I think it also helps with, there's certain products that are easy to buy online, and there's certain products you kind of want to be and experience and see. And, like I don't mind buying, a simple hat online if I bought Raptors championship hats because I know that new era hats fit me. But if it's a brand new kind of industry or things, you want to kind of see what's going on. And there's an energy and a vibe on the physical stores.
Yep, definitely agree. And I think that's some things that have a synergy with other categories as well, right? I mean, when the smartphone came about, the evolution, nobody said, oh, this sounds cool, I'll buy it. Typically, it had to be that experiential. Either it was a friend showing you this next generation from the BlackBerry, or was you going into, say, an Apple store or something to actually experience it firsthand and see what this was going to do as far as make your life better? And you get into the fabs, the features, advantages, and benefits. Sometimes that's really needed. So I totally support the fact that there is that brick and mortar. It's not just click and mortar for purchasing cannabis up there. And again, I think it's only going to help the greater cause as far as the country in a whole. So
awesome.
It's definitely good to see it's working out positive.
Well, listen, a lot of positive progress and positive news this week. I like to hear that, Lance Lambert. You always do it the best, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much. It's always good catching up as well.
And BovedaInc.com, the global leaders in two-way humidity control, keeping the flower fresh, keeping your guitars fresh, keeping your cigars fresh, keeping your mind fresh, you know what I mean? And again, it's BovedaInc.com, or of course, you just go to hashtag Boveda Cannabis and look at that great hashtag all over Instagram and Twitter. And Lance will be at every trade show near you that you ever have in the cannabis space. He sleeps at all the trade. He's a roadie. He actually moves the trade show from trade show now as well.
It's not a rumor. I will. On that note, I'll be at ICBC in Vancouver. I believe that's just a few months away, so I'll be back up in Canada soon enough. Would love to catch up with anyone that can come by.
Awesome, dude. You know what? I'm going to try to get to Vancouver maybe around that time. I want to get there as well. Appreciate your time, my friend. Have yourself a great week, and we can't wait to chat and catch up again next week.
Thanks so much. Likewise.
Cheers, pal.
Catch you right back.
What a beauty.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.